The next comic was the first comic. He popped the cherry on this here comedy tonight, and I'd like to welcome back. I just got a question for you, man. What gives with the pizza, man? Can I have a slice? Is it okay? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Matt Binder.
Is it good? Are we loud? Are we at the correct levels? Good? Alright. Hello everybody. Last time I was here, I opened up with a little story about the debt deal that was going on. And since I was last here, guess what? They came to a deal. They negotiated. Obama got nothing. Republicans got everything. And the debt deal was such a good thing, though, for this country that for the first time ever, the country's credit rating, Standard & Poor's credit rating for the country dropped. We went from a AAA rating to an AA+ rating. It's the first time ever. I think we deserve a round of applause for that. Let's get a round of applause for that. Okay. Now, I mean, that sucks. I mean, we're listening to first of all, a credit rating agency should not be called Standard & Poor's. I mean, what fucking idea? Whoever came up with that name is an idiot. Second of all, I mean, we shouldn't have got that rating because apparently Standard & Poor's forgot about $2 trillion that were part of this debt deal that they didn't account for. Apparently that $2 trillion wouldn't have lowered our credit rating. Obama was pretty pissed about that. So the next day he came out and said how it's not the right rating, and no matter what Standard & Poor's says, no matter what they said, the United States of America is still a AAA country. Still a AAA country. If I knew that shit worked back in high school, I would try that out with my mom all the time. Come home with a fucking C and say, you know, Mom, my teacher gave me a C, but you know what? At the end of the day, she said, you're still an A student to me. If only I knew that worked then. We got a black president way too late, way too late. Anyway, my name is Matt Binder, and usually when people hear my last name, Binder, they assume I am related to the famous law firm. Usually see them on TV, Binder and Binder. You know, the guy who wears the cowboy hat. I am actually related to them. I've never met them. I don't get any of their money, unfortunately. They are my dad's second cousins, so I have no blood relation to them. But I usually answer that question in that way, and I mean, I'm proud of them. I mean, they do pretty good for themselves. I saw them on a list that said they are one of the most well-known law firms in the country, and I mean, being Jews, that's probably the second best list you can be on, next to Schindler's. Speaking of my dad, he is in the audience tonight. He's right over here, putting his hands in the air as if he did something of some importance. I recently came across a photo of my dad back when he was around my age, and he had an afro, a Jewfro, I guess you could say. And I mean, it was the 70s, so he pulled it off. I gotta give him applause for that. I gotta give him props for that. I wish I can pull off an afro. I can't pull off an afro. It's the year 2011. I'm not cool enough to pull off an afro. To pull off an afro today, I'd have to be either hip or a grandma, and I'm neither. Everyone's on social networks today. Everyone's text messaging. Everyone's on Facebook. You know, Facebook's a great way. You know, it's the purpose of Facebook is to stay in touch with long-lost family or friends. Twitter's a great way to follow people that you hope to network with and get to know. There's the new social network, Google+, which is for people who shop at Big and Tall. There's Foursquare. Foursquare is the social network where you check in to where you are and let people know. I'm here at the Attic bombing at stand-up comedy, and people they're like, oh, maybe we'll come down and meet with him. But apparently I've been reading stories that criminals have been taking advantage of this information that's out there, and they've been finding out where people live, paying attention to their Foursquare account, And when they check in somewhere, like they're on a vacation somewhere, like in Hawaii maybe, they go to their house when they're on vacation and they break in and they steal things. Now, not too long ago, my car was stolen, and before the car was stolen, I checked in to a place in Manhattan, and came back home, and the next morning I realized my car was gone. So it's probably not why, but in the back of my head, Foursquare was the reason my car was stolen, and I devised a plan so it would never happen again. I'm going to check in somewhere. Maybe I'm not going to go on vacation actually, but I'm going to check into maybe, Hawaii, and I'm going to sit in my house with the lights off and wait. I'm going to wait for someone to break into my house using the Foursquare information. And when they break into my house, I'll be waiting there with a bat. And when they come to take something, I will smash that bat over their head. And I will tell them, not today, bitch. But in actuality, what I'll probably do is I will sit there in the dark, let them take what they want, and then just lock the door when they leave. Ugh. All right, well, what else? I was watching a soccer game the other day, Uruguay versus Paraguay. I don't really know why I was watching the game. I'm not a big soccer fan. I'm not a fan of either team. In fact, I think they're both pretty guay. Oh boy. That one went over a lot better last time. I guess there's no guays in the audience this time. All right, well, what else? I was talking about politics before. Let's in the news. You can't turn on the news today without hearing about the GOP presidential candidates. You can't stop hearing about them. They just had that big debate. They had the Iowa straw poll where apparently it tells you who's going to be the front runners in facing Obama in 2012. And one of the guys who I was kind of disappointed, he's the first to drop out. Tim Pawlenty dropped out. Now you probably don't know who Tim Pawlenty is because he's boring as fuck. But he's boring. However, at the last debate, he said a line that I absolutely loved, and it disappoints me that he's gone now because this joke now has very small shelf life. This was probably the last time I ever say it. He said a line. He said, let me make sure I get this exactly correctly. He said, "God has blessed America, and with great blessing comes great responsibility." Now, I can't put my thumb on it, but at the time I knew I heard that line somewhere before. So I opened up the Bible, and I looked, and I looked, and I looked, and then right there was that verse, Spider-Man 3:14. I'll never forget it. What else? We got the GOP debates is absolutely comedy gold. It's comedy gold. We have Michelle Bachmann, who, if you picked up the latest issue of Newsweek, you'll see her crazy fucking eyes on there. Apparently, her and her husband, they run a gay rehabilitation clinic. They apparently pray the gay away. They pray the gay away. They take in gay people and they tell them that if you pray hard enough, you will like women. I don't think this works. I don't think it works that way. And apparently, this has gotten them tons of bad press, so they're claiming that's not what they do. I mean, it's possible we misheard them. I mean, if you notice a sudden decline in people from Uruguay or Paraguay, maybe they pray the guay away. What else? We have Newt Gingrich, who the odds of him staying with his third wife are greater than him becoming president. We have Rick Perry, who is I guess you could say mentally retarded conservative Christian who's the current governor of Texas. And I mean, I wish there was just some way where we could look back in history and know how if he became president, just how that would turn out. How would a Christian conservative governor of Texas be as president? I would love to find out how that works. Finally, we have, there's so many, but finally I'll bring up Rick Santorum. Now, none of you have probably heard of, like Tim Pawlenty, none of you have probably heard of Rick Santorum. I would strongly suggest you not Google Rick Santorum's name. Just do not do that. You will not like what you see. I mean, You're now going to go home and Google it, but you're not going to like what you see. Anyway, he had an interview recently where they asked him about his feelings on the gay marriage law that passed in New York. And he came up with a brilliant analogy where he picked up a glass of water that was sitting next to him, and he said, "This is a glass of water. It will always be a glass of water. I can call it a beer, but it'll still taste like water because it is water." I love that analogy. I think it's genius. I think it's genius. Because I guess when he's not being Jesus Peter Parker, he's being Jesus Christ. And I remember a story from the Bible. Where Jesus does numerous different miracles, magic tricks, depending on whether you believe in Jesus or not. But he does these different miracles. And the analogy that Rick Santorum used is great because Jesus would look at that glass of water and he would say, you're right about gay marriage. Water is water. But I'm Jesus, and now that's wine, bitch. Thank you, everyone. I'm Matt Binder.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Matt Bender.
Yeah.
I could go for some wine, and I like Jesus too. There are no purses on the stage. It's actually part of the